Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Once again, my name is Divinity. Thank you for joining me here. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. And it's nice to have you. So today I want to speak about something that I haven't struggled speaking about, but I think I've struggled articulating up until now. And for me, this just emphasizes the importance of learning and growing in information because it allows us the space and the ability to get to a point where we are able to have language to explain certain things or to understand where we are or understand our journey better. So I'm going to give a little bit of context. So in 2017, my husband and I moved from the Eastern Cape, Port Elizabeth, now known as Gqeberha, to Johannesburg. And we moved and stayed in Pretoria at that time when we got to Gauteng, rather. And then a year later, so we moved like late 2017, and then early 2018, we moved to Johannesburg and things were going well. And I mean, part of the reason for us moving to Gauteng or Johannesburg was because we just really wanted to start afresh and yeah, just grow and establish ourselves in a new city. And so then we came and we stayed in, like I'm saying, Johannesburg in 2018. And then things were going well. I had a corporate job at the time. My husband was and still is in business. And it looked like things were working out according to our plans, according to the way that we had hoped and wanted. We were growing in our respective areas, and like life was picking up and we were enjoying ourselves. But then in 2019, I started feeling like I something was incomplete, and I started feeling like something was missing, and I just wasn't quite as happy as I expected myself to be at that time, seeing that things were going well for us. And so then I started, looking within myself and introspecting why I could be feeling this way, you know. And one of the things that I realized or came out with from that introspection was that I wasn't quite doing the things that I like and enjoy. So, to a certain extent, my time, and partly it was because of my job, was so focused on work, work. And if I wasn't working, I was at home trying to rest. And so I realized then, I was like, no, man, this is not quite me. And so, what are the things that I like and enjoy that I want to get back to doing and that I want to incorporate into my life again? And then I looked around and I found a literature market. I mentioned in the previous video that I'm a writer, and so I enjoy reading a lot. And I was also in the process of putting together a collection of my poetry. So then I found a literature market, and I was like, you know what, I think it's going to be a good idea for me to go. It's going to give me an opportunity to uh, like mingle with other people, get to meet new people, and but also not just any other people, but people that are almost like-minded. Because at a literature market, I suppose I would, I thought I would find people that enjoyed reading, other writers, and like just people that are in the artistic space. And the artistic space is the space that I really, really, really always enjoy to be in. I just find a lot of inspiration. I find I just come alive. So I was excited and I decided to go to the literature market. It was on Sundays. So we do church in the morning, and then after that, my husband would take me there. And I really enjoyed going there. And I was just, I don't know, I had such a good time. It really did awaken a part of me that I had neglected. It really did inspire me, because I then started writing again, which is something that I hadn't done in a really long time. And I was happy, I was happy, and I was like, okay, I'm on the right track and on the right path. And then the year went on, and towards uh, the end of that year, or like from mid that year, I started feeling this feeling again, and it was just like an uneasiness again. And when you feel like you are unhappy in one area of your life, or you feel like you're unhappy, or you are displeased, or there's just something not right, and then finding something else then that kind of appeases that feeling, where you then start finding something that you enjoy. And I enjoyed going to the literature market. I enjoyed meeting new people. I enjoyed writing. I started getting on the stage again and performing, and that I enjoyed. But the more I did that, the more I did the things that I enjoyed, I then started realizing just how unhappy I was at work. I was like, what? I am not happy at work. I like, there was a particular client we had at that time, and it was a long-term client. So I'm in the events industry. At the time, I was employed within events, and so there was a long-term client that we had, and so like my days were pretty mundane because we were doing almost like the same thing with this long-term client. And I thought, maybe it's because of that. I just couldn't quite pinpoint it, but I just knew that I was unhappy. And as the months progressed, and as the year was going, I was just growing like more unhappy and more displeased with my life, just generally. And so I quickly started rationalizing. Okay, so in my entire working life, I had never worked in one company for more than a year. And this is something that a friend of mine had brought to my attention when she saw my CV, and she said, girl, you clearly do not stay in companies. And if you keep up this trend, you're going to become unemployable at some point, because why aren't you staying? And then I had realized that I was at the company. So in 2019, in this time of dis-ease, I had been with the company for 2 years. So when I started rationalizing how I was feeling, I thought to myself, okay, maybe it's because I've been here for so long and I'm just not used to being in the same place for this long. If it was my previous me, I would have left the company a year in. And even this leaving a company a year in type of thing wasn't even something that I was aware of. It wasn't something that I was cognizant of. It wasn't something that I was intentionally doing. So I was like, maybe then just my body, can sense and tell that I've just been doing the same thing for more than a year, for 2 years now. And so in my rationalizing things, then I just said that I just need to get used to being in one place, in being with one company. I just need to not be so quick to want to jump the boat. And then I started looking at the pros of me being with the company, and I listed these things, and I said, okay, these are good enough reasons for me to stay here. These are good enough reasons for me to actually be appreciative and grateful for where I am and what I have. And I think this is something that we do a lot, where we think when we are discontent or unhappy with something, or want some sort of change or growth in our lives, we think that we are ungrateful for where we are and how that place has treated us. And I've come to learn and realize that a place that is good for you in a particular season of your life does not mean that it's going to be good for you in the next season of your life. It does not mean that what you were getting, so if a baby takes milk only for a particular time in their life, as they grow, you need to start introducing other foods. And so if you just keep the child on milk forever, they are going to suffer from malnutrition, and they're going to, they're not going to grow the way that they're supposed to grow, and that the way that they're meant to grow, because you are keeping them on a food type that is no longer relevant for their age and the stage and the season that they are in their lives. And so part of growth is actually us moving on and realizing that this was good for me in this season and this was good for me for this particular time, but it doesn't mean that it's good for me going forward, right? So I then listed these reasons and decided that I'm going to stay. Okay. And this was not necessarily a bad thing. It was not necessarily a bad thing at all. Um, but what I struggled with communicating, and that I've recently learned, is that there was something that I was feeling in my emotions, and because I was a person who was not used to confronting my emotions, a person that was not used to sitting with my emotions, a person that quickly wants to always feel good and always wants to be happy and always wants to be in this great Zen state. And if I'm not in that, I quickly want to find a way out. I'm just like, I want to look where's the closest exit that I can get. And my personal closest exit has always been rationalizing how I feel. And that's how I always find a way out of my feelings, not by being curious enough about them, not by interrogating what these emotions are, not by actually sitting with these emotions, not by actually looking and listening within myself, but just by quickly rationalizing and thinking my way out of it. And I think that's just the way that we are trained to think, to be, that we need to think things through and we need to rationalize our way out of things. And we are emotional beings, and most of what we need is communicated through our emotions, how we feel about things. I mean, if you're hungry, you're gonna be like, I feel hungry. You're not gonna be like, I think hungry. You're feeling a certain way in your body, and that's how you know that you need food or you need liquids. Or if you are sick, you feel sick in your body, and it's by actually listening to those feelings. And if you don't listen to how your body is communicating that it feels, and then it's going to shut down, and you're not going to have a choice but to stop and actually listen. And I think we wait sometimes for like extreme circumstances, we wait for extreme results for us to first actually pause and listen. It has to be like this major thing. And for me at that time, and I mean a couple of years after that, I struggled to understand that there's emotional turmoil happening. And I, because I'm not used to listening to my emotions, I can't even explain it. I can't even articulate it. I'm saying this and I'm saying that, and but the main thing is that I just feel unhappy. I just feel discontent. I just feel like something is amiss, and I struggled for so long with that. And for so long, I couldn't, in a time and world where we speak about physical health, we speak about mental health, we speak about social health. So there's all these aspects of wellness that we speak about, but I feel like we don't speak about emotional wellness enough. And so there wasn't enough information out there for me to be able to know that something is happening within my emotions that I need to look into, that I need to tap into. And I remember when I was like younger, much, much, much younger, and something had happened, and my mom and I and my brother went to her in-laws, which, like, my dad's part of the family. And then I was crying, and I was just told, don't cry, stop crying. What are you crying about? What do you know about what's going on? These are adult matters. And I think it stems from like just little things like that, that where I learned to not listen to how I feel, because what do I know? You know, I'm just a child. And even then, in my adult years, I just didn't know how to process emotions well. I always rationalized it. And you know, emotions are, we're always told about how unreliable they are, because one minute you're feeling like you can feel one way and then another minute feeling another way. But even that is something that we need to interrogate. Even that is something that we need to be able to have a conversation with ourselves about, to say, why am I chopping and changing in the way I feel? What is the root cause of that? So we need to be able to allow ourselves to feel, because that's how emotions will move. If we don't feel, they don't move. And if they don't move, it means that they stay stagnant within us, and they, you know, make a home, and they breed and brood things that will actually catch up with us in the near future, things that we won't understand where they come from. We'll be like, why do I have this habit? Or why do I always do things in a particular way? Or why do I always think in a particular way? And it's when you actually really look into it, or go to therapy, or whatever the case may be, you realize that it's emotions that were never actually dealt with, emotions that were never actually felt properly, and emotions that didn't actually have room to move. I always say that when people struggle with certain things, for example, weight, and I know that it's such a sensitive topic for so many people, and someone will just come to you and say, "Ah, I don't understand why it's such a sensitive issue." Or if you wanted to lose weight, you could if you really wanted to, or you could gain weight if you really wanted to, because we have to understand that there's two extremities to weight. There's people that want to gain weight, and there's people that want to lose weight. And there is so much that is attached to that. And some of the things that are attached to that is emotions, how people feel about certain things. There's people that can't let go of eating certain foods, for example. Why? Because those foods make them feel a certain way. There's people that, you know, like a silly example, there's people that don't eat certain foods. Like if you grew up in lack, or you grew up poor, or you just didn't have the best of, you know, options when it came to food, and you only ate certain foods all the time, and then when you grow up, you're like, I never want to eat this thing again. I never want to even see it, for that matter, in my pantry or in my fridge. There are emotions attached to those foods. I've got those foods, and what I've started doing is recreating the memories around them. So I've started making them in a particular way, serving them in a particular way, so that I can start erasing the memories that are attached to the emotions those foods carry for me. And so sometimes people struggle with certain things, not because they don't want to address them, or they don't want to change them, or they don't want to experience a different life, but because there are emotions attached to those things. And those emotions, until they are actually dealt with, the actual thing won't be dealt with. So it's not as easy for some people as just letting go. There are deeper rooted emotions that actually need to be dealt with. And this is something that I really didn't understand for such a long time. And when people spoke about wellness, because my interest and presence within the wellness space stems from that, stems from the wanting to understand wellness better, wanting to understand the different areas of wellness better, but also mainly wanting to understand emotional wellness so much more, because that's where my struggle has been for such a long time. Not understanding my emotions and always trying to rationalize them. So I feel here and I try to sort out here. And that's not how it works. You feel here and you sort out here, and then only then you are able to do changes here in the mind, you know. So my point, I suppose, is just that we need to not run away from our emotions. not run away from how we feel about things, and allow ourselves that feeling time and that feeling process. And I'm not saying crawl into your emotions and find a hole that you're never going to get out of, because that's also dangerous. But it's equally as dangerous to suppress your emotions and just try to move on and just mentally try to say, I'll just carry on as if nothing happened. I've heard so many people talking about, no, I didn't even feel anything. Of course you did. Of course you did, but you don't want to confront those emotions. Um, Mental health is about processing data, but emotional health and emotional wellness is about being able to deal with the emotions that come with the processing of that data, you know. So I became very relieved when I realized this for myself, and it just really, really helped me in my wellness journey, and it helped me to be able to confront certain things that I was just too afraid to confront. It helped me to be able to not rationalize things, but allow myself the space to be able to feel and know that there's nothing wrong with feeling certain things, but those emotions won't change if I don't allow them that moment. If I don't allow myself to feel, I'm going to be stuck with that emotion, and it's going to rot in me, and it's going to come back in a very painful way later on in my life. So yeah, I will pause it here for today. And again, it's just to say, be curious to know yourself enough to know your emotions, know what they are, know why you feel them, know when do you feel them. Because with all things and with many things, if we don't acknowledge and accept, then there's no moving forward. So we first have to be able to acknowledge and accept that we feel certain ways about certain things, and when those emotions come up, that we don't run away from them, that we don't try and apply logic, and we don't try to think ourselves to a better place, but rather feel ourselves to a better place. And only then we'll be able to implement practical solutions for change, whatever that change may be. Thank you for joining me once again. I hope you have a lovely, lovely, lovely day. And yeah, see you again in the next video. Again, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to communicate and let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section. And subscribe to this channel if you're liking this content. Bye.